Awesome. Okay. I hope that everybody can see my screen. I hope that you can hear me okay. I have one more that I'm admitting to the waiting room. But as we go through, if y'all are having any issues, please use the chat, or if you're able to get in touch with IT or with Miss Lacey, that's perfectly fine. But for those of you who maybe are confused as to why I'm here, what's going on, my name is Molly McCarroll, and I'm actually a graduate of Long Beach High School. It's been a while, but I am a graduate of Long Beach High School, so I always love being able to come back and speak to students at Long Beach. And so I'm really happy to be here this morning, even if it's virtually. I work for a place called Get to College. And if you're not familiar with who Get to College is or what we do, we are a free college planning center for students. Okay, we help students all across the state of Mississippi. Basically, we help them prepare, plan, and pay for college. Okay, so we're basically helping you in this moment as juniors kind of prepare for your senior year and for the application process for college. So whether you're a student who really has a full idea of what you're going to do after high school, or maybe you're still trying to figure it out, you really don't know what you want to major in or where you want to go to college, we're here as a resource to you. So I know this is going to be a pretty quick presentation. We only have now a little less than 30 minutes, but I want you to know that we are here to help you beyond today. So if after today you have questions about things that I've talked about, application processes, admissions requirements, whatever it might be, you can always book an appointment with us individually. Okay. Our office is in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. We have two offices in Jackson and South Haven, but we've been doing a lot of stuff virtually too. So you have a lot of options. And we just want you to know that we're here for you as a resource through this process. Okay. So I know I can't see a lot of you, and normally I try to interact and ask questions, but this is going to be kind of just a straightforward hearing me talk presentation. But I really hope that this is beneficial, good information for you to hear, because listen, your senior year will be here before you know it. And trust me, this can be a process, but it doesn't have to be stressful or daunting. Okay. So we're going to talk all about the process of college, basically. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. When you're looking at this college process, college planning, applying for college, whatever it might be, I want you to use this checklist as a resource for you, okay? Because this is going to kind of give you a timeline and a checklist of things that we're going to, one, be talking about today, but two, things that are going to be very helpful for you through your senior year if you are a student who is planning on applying to any type of college, okay? College looks different for every student too, and we're going to get to that. But listen, we're going to talk about the application process. We're going to talk about ACT, probably some of your favorite things, right? We're going to talk about campus visits and how to contact admissions counselors. The FAFSA, if you've ever heard that phrase, that word, we're going to talk about that, and Mississippi financial aid. So we're going to talk about financial aid, scholarships, and how to apply to college, okay? These are all really important things for you. And listen, I've seen it happen this year where some of my current seniors are maybe a little bit behind or don't think it's that important in the process, maybe in their junior year or early senior year. And then they're rushing to get things done at the last minute. We don't want that to be you, okay? We want you to feel prepared. We want you to know what's going on, all right? So when I talk about college is different for every single student, right? I'm talking about this idea of college fit, okay? Your college fit is not going to be the same as someone next to you or your best friend. It might be, but it also very much could be different, okay? So when I talk about college fit, it's taking the time right now in your junior year to start doing the research about what does college look like for you? What are you going to major in? What type of college do you want to go to? Starting to research and starting to make a list of these things can be very helpful for you as you're starting to plan for senior year and freshman year of college, okay? So maybe that looks like a community college or a four-year university. Is it a public or a private college, okay? What about your major? If you're wanting to major in nursing and you're looking at a college that doesn't have a nursing program, that's something to think about, right? So it's starting to look at what programs are offered at these colleges. What about the affordability? Maybe for you, the financial piece of college is the largest part of it. You're like, I have to go somewhere that I can afford. I'm going to be paying some out of pocket, or I'm looking for scholarship opportunities, whatever that looks like. starting to narrow down what your college fit looks like. Maybe it's location. Are you trying to go to a college that's 30 minutes down the road, 2 hours away? You're trying to piece out and be like, I want to be 7 hours away from home. Like I'm trying to get out. It looks different for every single student. Okay. So college fit and starting to navigate what that looks like for you is really important in this process, especially if college is on your radar. Okay. It's really important for you to know what this college fit looks like for you. And also, when we're talking about the application process for colleges, please remember that we really encourage students to apply to more than one school. Okay, you may have one school in mind, like this is the place I'm going. I'm going to Mississippi State. You cannot change my mind. That's okay for you to have a top choice, but listen, do not put all of your eggs into one college basket. Okay, make sure that you give yourself options because you're going to see if you have a high enough ACT score, you're probably going to be eligible for scholarships. And when those scholarships start rolling in, or you get a financial aid package from a college once you've applied, you want to be able to compare and see what your best choice, best option will be. Okay, so make sure you're applying to at least 3 to 4 schools. Okay, that could look like a couple of universities or community colleges, a handful of both. Okay, make sure that you're giving yourself more than just one option because anything can change in the time frame of your upcoming senior year, August, when you're applying, to even December or January. Things can change. Okay, so make sure you're giving yourself those options. That's super important. But I just want to kind of talk to you about the application process, okay? Because you're approaching your senior year and these things are going to matter. You're going to see this starting to happen. Most applications for colleges, especially in Mississippi, I would say August 1st is that sort of time frame that you're going to be starting to apply to colleges. Some applications will open as early as June 1st, all right, going into your senior year. But you can kind of use like August 1st as that reference point of saying, okay, this is when I need to definitely start applying to colleges. It happens early, okay, because there are deadlines for things. So you really don't want to be applying to colleges in December of your senior year or, next January. You want to make sure that you give yourself time and do that early. All right, so application processes. When you apply, you're going to have to apply online. Also, you'll have to submit your high school transcript. Okay, that's something that you get from your counselor. They send that off from you from the high school. You have to send your ACT scores or SAT scores. Most of the time we see ACT scores, right, for this area. And then also, normally you'll have to pay an application fee as well. Or if you're a student who has free or reduced school lunch, or you already get ACT fee waivers, you most likely will qualify for an application fee waiver. Okay, so that's something important for you to remember is that if you fit into that category, you won't have to pay that application fee. Okay, so make sure that you're kind of keeping this reference point of, okay, there are things I have to submit whenever I'm going to college. It's not just applying and being like, oh, I'm good to go. There are things that you'll have to think about. The application itself, high school transcript, ACT scores, right? And your application fee or fee waiver. Okay, those are requirements in order for you to get admitted. Okay, and again, I've seen it happen where a student might forget one little piece of that, and then maybe they miss a scholarship deadline because they forgot to submit their application fee, or maybe they forgot to ask to turn in their high school transcript, right? Those things are those things that don't have to be stressors as long as you know and you're keeping up with the fact that you kind of have these things that you kind of have to check mark off the list, okay? Now you see down here, these other colleges may need like essays, letters of recommendation. You're not going to need those things if you're applying to a college in the state of Mississippi, like a public institution or a community college. An essay is not required. A resume or an interview, those don't have to be things that are submitted or that you have to do. But if you're looking at scholarship opportunities, any type of competitive scholarship, things like that, then you may have to look at submitting a resume or a letter of recommendation, okay? But for the actual application process at your public colleges in Mississippi, you don't have to worry about that. Just really pay attention to those top things, okay? All right, let's just talk about ACT scores because This is a hot topic right now, especially in your junior year, and maybe even in your sophomore year, you had taken it already, or you're like, okay, I have to take the ACT again. Or maybe you're like, I don't want to do that, but you know that it's something that's important. Please know that it is important. It's not just your teachers trying to pound that information into you or your parents or other students, right? The ACT, colleges use this for a lot of different reasons, okay? They use it to determine if you can be admitted, okay? There are admissions requirements for basically any university. Some community colleges, right? They're going to use that to determine if you could be admitted. They're going to use it for scholarship money and also for class placement. We won't go into too much detail about class placement, but just know your sub scores on your ACT matter for the classes that you'll be placed in college, whether that's your college algebra, or if you have a certain sub score, it might be a remedial or an intermediate math or English class, right? So your sub scores and your composite score for your ACT matter, not just for scholarships, but to determine if you can be admitted too. Okay, so just know that this ACT is an important process, okay? And there are definitely ways that you can study for that too. Also, Ms. Lacey wanted me to mention that families must apply for free or reduced school lunch every year. And even if they don't use it for lunch, they use that for eligibility for a lot of things, okay? So if you have questions about that, you talk to your counselor, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, okay? Now, admissions requirements for college. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not just applying and being like, I'm good to go. There's nothing else that I have to do. We wish it was always that easy, but listen, these are things that you can begin to prepare for, okay? So when you're applying to one of the 4-year universities in Mississippi, there are 8 of them, okay? We're talking like our Jackson State, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, USM. Those are public universities in Mississippi. These are the admissions requirements, okay? So this is different than you being eligible for a scholarship. When you're applying, you have to have a 16, at least a 16 on the ACT with a 2.5 GPA, or an 18 and a 2.0. Now you see this left-hand column. If you have a 3.2 GPA, then you don't see that ACT requirement. Normally, they're just looking at your GPA if you meet that criteria. So let's say maybe you're a little lower than the 16, then you may still be able to be admitted to that university. Okay, there are just sometimes some little disclaimers that kind of go along with that. But listen, 16 on the ACT and a 2.5 GPA, 18 and a 2.0. You see that CPC curriculum down there, college preparatory curriculum. You're probably like, that means nothing to me. And that's okay. It probably didn't to me when I was in high school, but college preparatory curriculum, those are the classes that you're taking right now in order to graduate and also prepare for college, right? Your high school curriculum, your high school classes that you have to graduate. Colleges are looking at those classes too. So guess what? That's why your classes matter and your GPA matters right now. Okay, so if you're a student who maybe had kind of a rough freshman year, but you've like really improved sophomore and junior year, that's going to be helpful for you to stay along that track because your GPA and that ACT score matters for you to be admitted to the potential college that you're thinking about applying to. Okay. If it'll let me go to the next slide. There we go. I talked earlier about how there are ways that you can study for the ACT, okay? Make sure that you know that you have resources literally at your fingertips on your phone. Get to college. We offer free ACT prep. I just helped with one this past Saturday. It was virtual. We also do YouTube videos that give a lot of different tips and tricks and strategies that'll help you kind of combat the ACT. Because listen, this test 100% can be studied for, okay? So I don't ever want to hear another student being like, oh, I can't study for that. I was told that it couldn't be studied for. I promise it can, and it's worth it, okay? So make sure that you know that you have resources through ACT.org, retired ACT test possibly that you could use to study with, and our YouTube channel. And we have ACT resources on our website. So make sure if that's something that you feel like you need assistance with, please know that you can come to us and ask other questions about it or use the resources that I talked about today as well. And I know I'm going through a lot right now, but I really just want to make sure I'm giving y'all the most information that I can. And just remember, like I said, if there are questions after this, I can always get with Miss Lacey or Miss Tucker, and we can kind of talk through some of the questions that might have been there. Just briefly want to talk about the idea of cost of attendance, okay? When you're applying to a college, you're going to see that there are costs associated with it, okay? You're going to see that there's tuition costs, housing costs, meal plan, books, those kinds of things fall into this cost of attendance category. Okay. So when you're looking at a college, a university, and you see, oh my gosh, it's $22,000 or, 22,500 to go to college, like, whoa, that's just tuition. No, that's going to be an estimate of everything that you may have to owe when you go to college. Okay. So yeah, the cost of attendance for a community college or a university isn't good. It's going to include books, like personal expenses, transportation. Does every student pay the same amount in those things? No, right? Not every student's going to pay the same amount in books or personal expenses. Okay. So this cost of attendance is an estimate for you. It gives you an idea of what you're most likely going to have to pay when you go to that specific school. So if you're looking at a private institution out of state, and it's highly selective, guess what? It may cost 50 or $60,000. Okay, those are things you have to pay attention to. So when you're looking at schools that are in state, you're going to see that there's a lower price tag there. Okay, and of course, between a community college and a university, the price is going to be different for the amount that you'd have to pay because a community college is a 2-year college normally, and a public university is going to be 4 years. Okay, so some students start at community and then go to a university right after that. Okay, so just knowing that you can use this cost of attendance as sort of a reference, a frame of what you may have to pay when you go there. What you really want to pay attention to is that number in the green, your annual tuition. This is the amount that you pay to basically have your booty in a seat at a college. Okay, and so it's really important for you to know, okay, tuition is this, housing is this much, a meal plan is this much. Those are things that you'll have to kind of start navigating if the financial piece of college is important to you or something that's important to you and your family too. Okay, just briefly, I want to talk about the 4 different types of financial aid because I know that we're going to be cutting it close on time. Okay, when you are going through this process of applying to college, please know that it's not just $22,000 that you'll have to pull out of your pocket. Okay, like I wish I had that much money just to like give a student and be like, here, use this for college, or don't we all wish that we had that just like hanging out in our pockets? There are ways that you can get help in paying for college. Okay, outside aid, college aid, federal aid, and state aid. Okay, so just kind of talking about these briefly, I want to mention outside aid first. This would be like community scholarships, okay? Ones that are through Long Beach or through Harrison County or along the coast of Mississippi, right? These different scholarships that may be local to you that you can apply for. We also have a scholarship search tool on our website that can help you break down and filter through some of these scholarships, whether they're in Mississippi or maybe they're national scholarships that you can apply for. Do not sleep on this, okay? Because these are really great ways for you to get additional scholarship money if you qualify for any of these scholarships. But guess what? A lot of scholarships are competitive. So that means that you have to put forth the effort eventually to maybe write that essay or submit that application, okay? Then college aid. Okay, some of these are competitive, but one that is not is going to be this first one, academic merit. Okay, academic merit scholarships, especially in the state of Mississippi, most colleges have these. Okay, in Mississippi, these are ACT based scholarships. So basically, the higher your ACT score, and most of the time, if you have at least a 3.0 GPA, you will qualify for scholarship money depending on your ACT score. Most colleges in Mississippi start around a 21 to a 23 on the ACT for scholarship purposes, okay? Give or take, some colleges do it differently. Everyone has a different bracket system, okay? So the higher your ACT score, the more scholarship money that you're most likely going to qualify for, okay? But again, at colleges, there are also some competitive scholarships that you might be able to apply for, whether they're leadership based. Maybe you're a college athlete and you're receiving a scholarship. Maybe you're auditioning for the School of Music, right? Some of those scholarships that fall into those categories. I'm going to skip over Phi Theta Kappa for now. I just want to make sure we have time for this, okay? Federal aid. This is the free application for federal student aid. So listen, this is very important for you going into your senior year. October 1st of your senior year, the FAFSA opens. If you're a student who's looking for potential grant money for college or maybe even student loans, this application is the only one that will tell you what you qualify for whichever college you're going to. This is for across the United States. The FAFSA can be filled out for any college in the state of, or in the United States, okay? So the FAFSA is very important. It looks at your parent tax information, so we don't want to get into like the weeds of that, but just know that this application is something that we can help you with, or we may even have a FAFSA day at the high school in your senior year, okay? So remember the FAFSA as you're going through this process, because this is a potential way to get grant money. And listen, grant money and loan money, two different things. Hopefully some of you may know that. Grant money, free money, okay? If you get a grant, that is free money that you get to use for college. Loans have to be paid back eventually, right? So just knowing the difference between the two, okay? And Mississippi financial aid. There are 3 different types of grants that you can get through the state of Mississippi if you're attending a college in the state of Mississippi, okay? 3 different grants here, MTAG, MESG, and the HELP grant. They all have different basically amounts associated with them, okay? And you can also see that there are different academic requirements, okay? So MTAG and MESG only look at your academics, okay? MTAG, $500 annually, freshman and sophomore year, $1,000 for junior and senior year, okay? Grant money, free money. MESG, a little bit of a higher amount, $2,500 every year for 4 years that you're in college, okay? The HELP grant is the only one that's a little different, and it does look at your parents' income, okay? But if you meet the requirements for this ACT score and GPA, it's basically looks at that college prep curriculum. So that's something that you can talk with your counselor about to make sure you meet the criteria, but it does have a certain income requirement. But listen, the HELP grant, if you hear nothing else today, I want you to know, if you think you qualify for the HELP grant, it pays your full tuition at any public university in the state of Mississippi or a community college in Mississippi, okay? It's huge. That can be almost $8,000 to $9,000 paid for if you qualify for the HELP grant, okay? So that is a really important piece in this. And I know we're getting close on time, but I really just wanted you to know that this exists and that you may be a student that qualifies for the HELP grant, okay? 20 on the ACT, 2.5 GPA, that college prep curriculum, and a certain income requirement, okay? I'm gonna kind of scroll through this really quick because I know that we're like almost done, but I wanted to also show my contact information, okay? If you are a student who wants more information, if you're someone who wants to book an individual appointment with us to talk more about your college process, you can email me or find my information at gettocollege.org, okay? And you can book an appointment with me or any of our counselors through Get to College. We are here as a resource to you, but you also have an amazing staff at Long Beach High School as a resource, your counselors and your Career Center counselor, okay? So make sure that you're utilizing them as great resources to you. And I really appreciate y'all giving me the time to talk. I know it was a lot of information, but hopefully it just kind of shows you that you have to start preparing now for this process of going to college. And hopefully it doesn't seem daunting, but something that you can tackle easily. So thank y'all so much for letting me talk this morning.
Thanks, Molly. And students, we will have this recorded and posted on the website if you need to go through the information again.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much. And please remember, you can always reach out to me, okay? Thank y'all for being such great audiences, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you, Miss Lacey.